was really funny. Taylor Gardner-Hickman got absolutely plastered, didn't he? Right, and it was right in front of the dugout, and suddenly he looked like he was like about to just lie there and realise where he was, Taylor Gardner-Hickman, and then suddenly started crawling like a lizard onto the pitch, and I think that's why Steve Evans had a word with him afterwards and about that. But
it was right in front of Steve Evans.
Yeah, I know.
It was literally by his feet.
So he's lying for a few seconds, completely prostrate, and then suddenly he realises actually I'm onto it, and he just starts crawling onto the pitch. I actually thought that was hilarious.
So welcome back to BCFC Royal Blue. And on Saturday afternoon, Birmingham City beat Rotherham United 2-1, which turned out to be another scrappy game. But once again, we showed our resilience, we showed our determination, and we got that win over the line. And that's 17 games unbeaten, and things are looking very, very good. Now, I'm sure I'm going to steal Dad's thunder on the first section here, but I think it's worth putting into the introduction that there was a truly wonderful memorial and dedication to Leo Ross on the 12th minute. The referee stopped the game. The players got involved. The managers got involved. The Rotherham fans and the Blues fans all got involved, and it was amazing. And before the game as well, there was a balloon release, and I know the Rotherham fans also did a special part of his memorial as well. So a life tragically lost way too soon, but a wonderful effort from the clubs there to honour that and have a memorial for Leo Ross. So, Dad, we were at the game. What were your thoughts?
Well, yeah, just to reiterate what you said, that was top of my notes to talk about that because it's tragic. You know, a 12-year-old lad. It's just heartbreaking. And our condolences to his family, friends, and just the wider community. Really, it's absolutely awful. Well done to the Blues and the Blues fans and the Rotherham fans for their tribute, which I thought was quite moving. And the players, to see the actual players stop and clap on the pitch when his picture came up was just truly wonderful. And
especially from us all being from Birmingham, Dad, we used to live 5 minutes away from that road. I've walked that road many times when I was a teenager, and when it's on your doorstep, it's just tragic, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. So, well done to the club for organising that. Yeah, onto the game. 2-1 win. It was important, I think we said in the pre-video, that after the fixtures we just had, the great away performances against Wrexham and Huddersfield, it was important that we kept the momentum going because these are types of games. Although I always thought this would be a tricky game because don't forget, I know Rotherham haven't had the best season, but they are improving. We said that I think they'd lost one in the last 8 or 9 or whatever it was, and they're sort of climbing their way up slowly up the table. But they got relegated with us.
Yep.
And it was an important game for us. And we, like you said, I think the key thing you said there was resilience, is that we did go 1-0 down. That's a surprise for us. That's the first goal we've conceded at home since November the 9th, and we were 1-0 down at half time, and it showed a different side. But obviously we can't be new to that because in the league we've had more points from losing positions, 20, than any other club. So I think that goes back a lot to earlier in the season, doesn't it? When
Peterborough, Leyton Orient, Reading, you can name them all from the start.
Wigan's 1-1, wasn't it? But we've got a lot of points from that. So it's good to see that the players can respond and keep chipping away, and eventually we got the win, which I thought overall we completely deserved.
Yeah, I thought we got better as the game went on. I thought the second half was a lot better than the first, but we still created chance in the first half. Again, I felt like it had a Huddersfield vibe. Remember in the first half against Huddersfield, it just wasn't dropping for us in the right spaces, and we were hitting it straight at the keeper. It's exactly where the keeper wanted to save, would have saved it, or we just needed that little bit more quality in the final third to really score a goal in that first half. And I think the second half that did come out a little bit more. But I want to reiterate my intro, Dad, because this is the key for me. What I'm loving about this team at the moment is the resilience, the fight, the ability to grind results out. To me, that's just as important as having a technically good team, because you can have a technically outstanding team. Chris Davies has us set up very well this season. Lots of possession, good build-ups of play. We get decent amount of balls into the box now. I think we've really developed that this season. But the dirty side of the game is just as important.
Yeah.
And we hung in there, and we're grinding these results out. We're grafting. It's not pretty all the time. Who cares? As I said, in League One, Dad, we are going to face teams that do park the bus. And we'll come on to Rotherham, because I don't think they parked it as much as other teams. But when you're playing that style of football, you're not going to get massively exciting, goals, are you? But for me, the biggest takeaway for me was that ability to grind this out and there was no one on that pitch that encapsulated what I'm saying more than Taylor Gardner-Hickman. He covered every single blade of grass this weekend. Really proud of him, really proud of that. And as I say, there was a few little things, Dad, that encapsulates this element to me. One was Alfie May taking the heat off Stanno for the penalty again. Stanno running into the Rotherham bench to get the ball back when they were holding it back. There was a lot of little things this weekend that showed me that we're a proper unit again. And that plays into that element, being able to grind out results.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something that we definitely needed, when we look at like last season. We had so many times we were talking about that, the lack of fight, the lack of passion, the lack of togetherness. It's all there now. And yeah, you're right, Matt. It's not the most attractive football. And, you got what do you want? Do you want to watch a team that's bombing forward and conceding loads of goals? Because that's what could happen. You could, sacrifice you're sort of conceding a few, which is Barry Fry's philosophy, wasn't it, when he was manager, on the basis you're going to score more than the opposition. But this is a much more controlled and measured way of playing this season. It's not everybody's cup of tea, and we can't say it's the most attractive football in the world because it's not. It not always is, but it's not bad football. I'm enjoying it, and again, 2 goals for Stanno as well. And
happy for him as well.
I'm happy for him. And people made, comments about his muted celebrations because obviously he must be looking at some of the comments and the feedback from some of the Blues fans, which I honestly don't get. He's a quality player, and people are saying he should be doing this or doing that, but he's in the wrong position. But that's not his fault. And
he's still a kid as well, Dad. I know that might sound weird coming from a 34-year-old, but he's still a kid. He's still learning his graft, and he's doing a great job. And for me, when you look at Stansfield, Dad, it's all about the energy he brings to the team. He does not stop running that line. And I've said this a lot on this podcast, and it does really frustrate me. If we picked Stansfield runs out more, he'd get way more goals. But we're not brave enough sometimes to pick him out.
There was one in particular because we sit in the tilt, and there's one towards the end of middle of the second half when after Alfie May had come on, Stansfield made a fantastic run. He was waiting for it to be laid in, and Alfie May obviously probably didn't see him, and then just cut it back, and he went out to the right. But it is that incisiveness in doing, getting and making the right decisions. But in terms of the team, I was surprised to see Tomoki Watcher in the starting line. Absolutely staggered, given that tackle. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I thought it was brilliant, but that was a bad tackle, and he obviously would have been heavily bruised. And then Keshi Anderson started on the left. And then we had Dowell, didn't we? Kieran Dowell made his debut, which I thought he did okay. He did well. There were some good little moments he had in the game.
I think he was better than okay. Yeah. I thought he was really good.
Yeah. He started on the right.
He did.
And it was hard trying to work out the team at first. And then it looked, as the game kicked off, it looked like Dykes was number 10 and Stanno was number 9. But as the half went off, they seemed to be interchanged a little
rotating
bit.
A bit, yeah.
Yeah, and it was a little bit confusing. We had Taylor Gardner-Hickman and a Watter in the centre of midfield. And you were right. The engine on that guy, Taylor Gardner-Hickman, is absolutely staggering. He's made it absolutely clear he wants to be a Birmingham City football player permanently.
And he seems really mixed in with the boys. You see all the behind the scenes stuff of him having a laugh. Yeah. I think he's quite a prankster in the changing rooms, a bit of a jokester. And a bit like, remember Bakuna last season? Although I think Mowbray called him mad as a hatter. And I think Taylor Gardner-Hickman has that vibe to him where he kind of keeps the spirits up behind the scenes. And they're important players to have. And I mean, his diversity on the pitch and his energy, Dad.
I think that's his big plus. Obviously, his effort and he's technically good and fantastic. But what he's got that other players haven't got, he can play in multiple positions, and that's a definite massive asset to have, particularly in a game where you might be struggling for injuries in certain places. And you've got a player like him that can fulfil 3-4 positions on the pitch. And the fact that he really wants to be at Blues, I think I'm got to be nailed on that we sign him.
I'd love to sign him.
And Ben Davies, that's a different story. He's fantastic as well.
He had a good game as well. Ben Davies was solid, Dad. Clara was solid. In fact, Clara got the official man of the match. But in my opinion, it was Taylor Gardner-Hickman and then sort of Ben Davies and Clara kind of joint for a second because they were both absolutely outstanding. No nonsense, threw themselves at things, and I'm just loving our defence so far these past sort of 17 games.
It's been brilliant. I think that's what's provided with the foundation to go on these runs that we've had. But Dowell, in the first half, Dowell had 2 chances in the 8th minute in the first 8 minutes. So one where it basically went straight to the goalkeeper. He was not through, but he was challenging. And the second one was a free kick that the goalkeeper tipped it over the bar. And that's in the first 8 minutes of his debut. So. Obviously, that started off, as a good start for him, and then he sort of grew into the game. So I thought in the first half, though, we'd created chances, but they weren't, they weren't half chances, but they weren't. When we did have opportunities, they weren't like blasted at the goal, towards the goal, or they were.
Or they were straight at the keeper.
Yeah, they're just in the wrong places.
That's it. Yeah, and we saw that against Huddersfield, Dad. We just couldn't quite get it to go where we needed it to go. It was too easy.
Yeah, I think it was part way through the first half. Keshi Anderson went bombing down the left and crossed it into Jay Stansfield, who just turned and it just went wide. And it was just like the first half. It's like you're knocking on the door, but it never felt in the first half that it was really going to open. It didn't, and then of course we got caught with that sucker punch. In fact, actually, they should have scored before that, shouldn't they? The Rotherham
off the line.
Yeah, and it was really good defending by Ben Davies. Again, it was we were on the attack, and we were obviously. I think Cochrane had gone into forward position. We were obviously really short at that move on the left, on our left, their right, and they got the ball to the player who actually headed it past Allsop. And then Ben Davies came in and just looped it away. So that could have been 1-0, but they scored shortly after that, just before half time. Again, it was a corner, and I think even Chris Davies said in his post-match interview that always disappointed when we concede to set pieces, but this was pretty poor. They played a short corner, and their player crossed it in, and I think it was it Ndombe who's called?
I think it was, yeah.
Ndombe.
It was a good cross, to be fair, but from a defensive point of view, you got to be doing better than that. I mean, it's one of those things, isn't it? I always find out corners, set pieces, you're going to concede them from time to time. I get that, but defensively, I always think, we should be doing a bit tighter to our man, but the amount of movement that goes on in the box, I do see why a lot of goals go in from set pieces at the League One level. But disappointing to go in 1-0 down at the break. And for me, Dad, I think, don't get me wrong, we've mentioned a lot of positives there: the fight, the determination. But we were a bit sloppy, weren't we, at times? Yep. I thought we lacked a bit of composure. I thought we could have made better decisions again in the final third. And Chris Davies alluded to this, Dad, in his post-match press conference after the game. We were too slow. Again, when we're good, because you mentioned earlier about what do you want? Do you want the foundations to be good at the back and then maybe sacrifice a few goals moving forward? Actually, I think you can have a balance in the middle, and when you do speed things up, when we go at teams quicker, we do start to create more chances. And there was one build-up, which I really noticed this, right? We played out from the back, and we played out from the back beautifully. They were running on air, they were gasping, and we were pinging it around. Anyway, he went round to Cochrane, and in my opinion then, when you broke the press, Cochrane's body language should be that way going forward. Bobby, but it's still back to Allsop. So by the time we broke the press, Rotherham had got back into the positions where we beat them in the first place. So it was completely counterintuitive.
Yeah, I agree with that. So when you break the press, you take advantage of the space and you run into it. And you're right. I remember that move as well when he sort of checked back, didn't he? But I think that it was a sucker punch, because even though they had that earlier chance where they should have scored, I don't think they deserved to be in the lead at half time. They're a very tall team as well, very, very tall, and very, very physical as well. So there's always going to be a danger on set pieces. That was disappointing. So we went in 1-0 at half-time down. In the second half, which I thought was the right thing to do, Chris Davies didn't make any substitutions. I thought it was right to keep the players on there. And then we really had a go.
Second half was much better.
Completely, again, dominated again. Dowell in the 54th minute crossed to the far post to Dykes, and this is where the goal came. Nodded the ball down to Stansfield, who reacted really well, didn't he? Yeah. And his right foot just caught it and just looped it past the goalkeeper. And that's an instinctive striker's goal, and that's what good strikers do.
And someone around us in the stadium, Dad, didn't they? Said that looked like a typical Alfie May kind of goal.
Yeah,
that
kind of
poachy kind of goal, and I agree with that.
Yeah, but that's the thing, isn't it? That's what goal scorers do. They can score different types of goals. So obviously we know that Stansfield likes to break the net when he can, but even though they all count, don't they? The little tap-ins. And I thought that was a really important time for us to score, because we knew with Rotherham, like all teams do, but Rotherham seemed to do it more a little bit. Is it wasting time? I said to you, they're wasting time in the second minute. Their goalkeeper was taking the ball and he put it down, and then he'd pick it up and put it on the other side. And you think it was ridiculous, wasn't it?
What I love about that, Dad, is when you do win, they've lost all those minutes that they were burning off the entire game. So
it's happened for a lot of teams.
You look like a plank then. You've burnt off all that time. You've wasted now. You've just lost, about 7 minutes, 8 minutes of a game that you've been really slowing down. And I think more importantly than time wasting, Dad, teams, and Chris Davies again has alluded to this, it's the slowing down of the game, because we thrive off speed, passing, build-up play. When they do this, when they do the throw-ins, when they do the injuries, when they go down, when the keeper takes their time, it just kills our momentum, don't it?
Yeah, and that's it as well. I mean, Also, as well, we should have had a penalty, shouldn't we? When Keshi Anderson went bombing into the box, and to me that was more of a penalty than the one that was actually
I
given.
agree, yeah.
And the referee didn't give it. In fact, he gave a goal kick. I mean, really, it should have been a penalty and a sending off. I mean, Steve Evans failed to even mention that when he was saying that he didn't think the second one, the one we got, was a penalty. And we'll talk about Steve Evans in a minute.
He said they were unlucky.
Again, we said this about a lot of managers. Steve Evans, if you're watching this, which you're probably not, but if you ever were, what game were you watching? I think he might have had the wrong glasses on, mate. I mean, that he said, yeah, we might as well talk about him now that we're on it. He was saying that, they went away unlucky and they limited us to very few chances. We had, so we had the ball 70% in both halves, right? So your team only had 30% of the ball. So that's not dominating anything, even its possession. We had 24 shots in total, of which 8 were on target. They had some 7 and 2 on target. Oh, come on, managers, be honest. There's no way Rotherham deserved to get anything from that game. Yeah. They got exactly what they deserved. And you think to yourself, why do managers do that? I mean, I was sort of warming to Steve Evans a little bit, in terms of his character and stuff like that. But again, it was really funny as well. He kicked off, didn't he?
Yeah, apparently so.
But it was really funny. Taylor Gardner-Hickman got absolutely plastered, didn't he? Right, and it was right in front of the dugout, and suddenly he looked like he was like about to just lie there and realise where he was, Taylor Gardner-Hickman, and then suddenly started crawling like a lizard onto the pitch. And I think that's why Steve Evans had a word with him afterwards. About that, but
it was right in front of Steve Evans.
Yeah, I know.
It was literally by his feet.
So he's lying for a few seconds, completely prostrate, and then suddenly he realises actually I'm doing it, and he just starts crawling onto the pitch. I actually thought that was hilarious.
Ethan Laird done it about 2 months ago. It was before Christmas. He realised where he was, and he just jumped back on.
I can't remember what team we played last season. That happened to one of the opposition at St.Andrews, and what they did was the player couldn't move, so their players actually rolled him.
Yeah.
But I thought that was really. But I do take issue with that for Steve Evans, because at the end of the day, it's misleading. You're giving the wrong information out. Birmingham City, we had lots of other chances to score. We dominated that game in so many different ways. And to turn around and say that you were unlucky, Rotherham were not unlucky in that game, not at all. I don't think they're the worst team we've seen down there. Don't get me wrong.
No,
we've seen worse teams than that. But so that's my rant about Steve Evans.
On a good note, Dad, Chris Davies told him to explicit off. And then apparently he told the assistant. He went one step further and told the assistant manager to do one as well. So, Chris Davies is going to back up the boys. He's going to defend himself, and he's a bit of a bully boy, isn't he, Steve Evans? By the way, I said in the pre-video, Dad, I actually really respect Steve Evans, and I do. I think he's a good manager. It's just the unsportsmanlike side to his.
He's a bad loser. That's the problem. And the thing is, as well, he basically said blame the referee for our penalty, saying that the crowd had influenced him. But again, like I said, he completely missed or forgot to mention the first, which was absolute penalty that we didn't get. So at the end of the day, we'll move on. We won 2-1. We'll go on to that penalty. Actually, that second goal.
I was going to say, Dad, because the penalty, in the real moment, I didn't think Taylor Gardner-Hickman dived, but I just thought he exaggerated it or made a meal of it. But actually, when I watched it back, it was a penalty.
Yeah, he caught his feet.
He caught his feet, definitely. But in the moment, I was like, oh, he's clever there. He's kind of gone over a little bit easily.
In the referee's mind, what's happened, he's realised he probably should have given the first penalty. He's looked at that and he's probably thought, if that's 50-50, I'm going to give that one because I should have given the first one. Yeah. But you could take it either way. But
the first one was a lot more clear cut than the second one, in my opinion.
Yeah. So he was tripped. He was tripped by Hakeem Odafin was their captain. And
he's a dirty bugger, isn't he? He didn't stop all game doing the little pulls and the clips. And,
you know what? It's Rotherham, isn't it? You're used to that. Like I say, I don't think they're a bad team in terms of compared to some of the other teams we've seen in the league, and I think they'll pick up a lot of points in the second half of the season.
Oh, they'll be fine.
But that was a definite penalty, and obviously Jay Stansfield stepped up and hammered it just inside the. It was a good penalty, just inside
because the keeper went the right way.
Yeah, he was unstoppable, really, wasn't it? And that made it 2-1. And I always felt when we went 2-1 up, I always felt that would be it. I think I'm really impressed with Chris Davies as well. He made some very clever substitutions because a team like Rotherham are 2-1 down with coming towards the end of the game. They're going to a little bit like Wrexham. They're going to bombard you, aren't they? They'll try to. We tempered that a lot because we kept possession pretty well. But when they did loft the ball in, they had a free kick or they had a corner. He made substitutions, didn't he? He brought on the likes of Grant Hanley and Christian Bielek, who give us a bit more height and strength at the back. And I never felt we were going to lose that game or lose another goal to draw the game. But it's 3 more points. And it was important, like I said, I think this is important because these are the games after you come off to fantastic away performances against teams around you, these are the mid-table teams are the ones that you need to sort of keep that momentum going with because they're easy to slip up.
Yeah, absolutely, Dad. And another final thing for me, I think I've pretty much covered everything I want to really at this point, Dad. But my one thing as well is what I'm really proud of with the boys is the ability to handle a bit of pressure. We're at St. Andrews. We're 1-0 down at half time with the big spenders. It's nearly a sellout, big crowd.
I thought the crowd were great, by the way.
Yeah, the crowd was good.
They really got behind them. I think that's it with Blues. We've had this this debate across the Blues fan base. They say that the atmosphere at St. Andrews is a little bit flat at times. That's true.
Yes, yeah.
It is. But when we've got something like last season, the atmosphere was good because we were the underdogs in every game. And I think when we go behind, the fans really rally and get behind the team. And like Chris Davies said, that really helps the player. So well done to the crowd, I think, yesterday as well.
Absolutely. But it just had, with the big spenders in the league, we're at home, we're unbeaten. That comes with elements of pressure. And I get it. They're professional footballers. They're paid a lot of money to deal with this. I get it. But still, they rose to the occasion. We keep grinding these results out. And for me, whether you win 1-0, 6-0, 9-0, being able to grind out a result is just as important.
It is, and that's a really, really good point, isn't it? Because 1-0 is the same. As 9-0 or 1-0, you still get 3 points. So I'd like to win 9-0, but 1-0 still gets you 3 points, and that's the main thing, and that's the difference with this team. These types of games are the games that win you promotion.
And Huddersfield away, all those games,
those types of games, those type of performances. At the end of the day, we are now 4 points clear of Wycombe. Wycombe only drew 1-1 at Cambridge. I mean, Wrexham got a late goal against Crawley. But I've said to you before, of course, as fans, we're always going to look at other results and see where we are on the table. But if we keep going, though, it doesn't matter what the other teams do. It absolutely doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if the other teams pick up points as long as we keep going the way we're going. So we're 4 points clear now of Wycombe with 2 games in hand, 8 points clear of Wrexham with 2 games in hand, and about 104 points ahead of Huddersfield with a game in hand.
At least we definitely won't get relegated at this point.
Has anybody worked out for safety? That's what we always do, isn't it? I mean, in fact, last season when we was down the bottom, I used to turn the table upside down just to make myself feel a little bit better. But it's different this season. It feels different, feels better as well. And that's in the league. That's 13 games unbeaten now. So when we lost at Shrewsbury, it was all down. We were
17. 17
games
in
all competitions.
All competitions,
so that's including cup. 13 in the league. And when we lost at Shrewsbury, we was all down. We were talking about that, wasn't we, Matt, on Saturday, about what a horrible game it was for us. Not just for the result. We're talking about the weather, the atmosphere,
outside,
the burger. If you get to Shrewsbury, there's a burger van outside. I'm probably going to take them out of business here. It's the worst burger in the world. But if any fans watching this, it's absolutely awful. But and since that, we've obviously rallied and 13 games unbeaten, and most of those are victories as well. And we've kept that momentum going at the top, and we've just got to keep going now.
4 goals conceded as well, Dad. It's absolutely crazy. So brilliant things. It's looking good, isn't it? And on we go to the cup now against Stevenage on Tuesday, then Newcastle on the Saturday. So we've got a little bit of a cup break now, haven't we, moving forward? But the league is looking very, very good.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic, isn't it?
So as always, Birmingham City supporters, we would love to hear from you. Please let us know your comments in the section below, and myself and Dad will get round to that as quickly as we can. And maybe you're a Rotherham supporter as well. Let us know your comment in the section below. I'm sure you weren't happy with that performance, if we won't be honest. I think we can all agree. Steve Evans...
exaggerated.
I'm not sure what game he was watching there. I'm sure you'll agree. But anyway, we'd love to hear from you as well. So please drop us a comment in the section below. If you like this video specifically, please don't forget to give us a thumbs up and check us out over on our social media channels. We have an X page, we have an Instagram page, and we're also on Spotify now as well, so you can listen to us over there. And if you haven't already, please don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and press that bell notification so you don't miss any future notifications when myself and Dad post a video. And we'll see you on the next one, all about Birmingham City.